Hey everyone, this is Nitro. So in this video or live stream, I will be just going over the match between Roylee and Zansin in the Apex Arena Finals. So this is now the round of, I guess, this quarterfinals round, best of 8. And I think this is the match that most people are looking at, given the sheer number of 8 tickets that have gotten to this match. Also interesting to see is almost everyone has put their 8 tickets into Roylee. So if Zansin does manage to win, you can potentially make a lot of gold from it. But of course, that does assume he's going to win. I actually put my betting into IG10. I put 7 tickets into him. So we'll see who wins. I mean, you can only buy 5 tickets, and I basically just purchased my 5 for today. Got my ticket from yesterday and today, and then threw them all at IG10's match. So I'm not going to watch that one. I'm going to be going over the Roylee Zansin match. But yeah, that's where I actually put my personal tickets. So the match is supposed to start very shortly, I guess in 20 seconds. So I'm just waiting for now for the, I guess, the spectate option to pop up. Yeah, yesterday apparently there were quite a few surprises, right? Auto Run, for example, lost. Auto Run is run by that Chinese player, Clunky. Desu Life lost, and Desu Life has won a bunch of, a bunch of tournaments, and of course Straw lost. So there were a few upsets yesterday in the round of 16. Okay, so the match is now shown. Let's take a look and see. There's still time until the match actually begins though. So maybe I should have waited a bit longer before starting this stream. No big deal though. Alright, 30 seconds. So let's see how this pick ban will go. Three. Alright, so both boxes are highly advanced, but Roylee has both Reen and Area Rod, while Zansin only has Reen. So I guess that comparison is probably the amount of money each player put in. So both sides ban Juggler. Makes a lot of sense. AoE teams are the most common, and that's what we're seeing. Whoa. Thank you, Pusian. Fusion? I voted for... Oh my god, who did I vote for? I mentioned it at the start of this stream. I've already forgotten his name. Give me a quick moment to double check. Wow, they're already taking their time in the pick ban section after the first Landius ban. Or sorry, after the first Juggler ban. I picked Igten. That was it. Of who will win this match, I have no clue. I think Roylee has the advantage, of course, but Zansin could pull it off. Interesting. Why is Zansin using up his backup time at this point? On the very first, ban of 2 characters. So he finally chose to ban Deedlit and Rind. Interesting choice. And he went for Hiei. So Roylee picks Arianrod. And he quickly bans characters, right? Zerda and Yusuke. So Roylee pretty much, seems like Roylee has this all fully planned. Whereas Zansin seems to be kind of struggling to figure out who to ban. Alright, 2 Wilder and Liana. It's more I don't remember their name, Ikuto. Off the top of my head, I don't remember most players' names. But yes, it was 8-10. Interesting. A third pick Claret. Okay. Tank busting or hoping to tank bust. This should actually be interesting to see. Can Zansin's Claret actually bust through Roylee's Landius? So that's going to be a big question mark. Neither side is picking Ares early on. That's another... I guess this is the difference between like a lower level match and a top tier match. Right? If we, like, I mean, in the mid tier, even in the mid tier match like mine, nobody would leave Ares available for so long. But here we are into the 4th pick, and neither side has picked Ares. Well, Zansin's got his Ares banned now, but Roylee's Ares has not been banned, and it's not being picked. That's interesting. So Zansin has a party that is mostly buffed, right? Claret, Angelina, and Landius. Hiei isn't, but I guess Hiei is here to potentially assassinate things like healers. On Roylee's side, yeah, there we go. So now with Gizzeroth, Arianrod is buffed. And now Zansin has to do his final ban choices, which will dramatically affect the final result, I think. Yeah, with their enchant levels, I don't think Zerda is very, very good. That's why it's left alone. It's just like how Lestel is totally ignored, because presumably most of the characters have swordsmith medals and so on. Although Roylee, yeah. Lestel or Ares, this is going to be a tough choice. I wouldn't know who to pick either, frankly. Both have high utility. The whole point of Roylee's box though is you have no idea what to ban in his box. Like, every single unit in his box is ridiculously good. Ares. Yeah. I agree with that actually. Ares should have more utility than Lestel does. It's hard to say, right? Lestel can Reaper's Touch the enemy Liana, right? And Lestel's Blood Dance should damage everybody but Landius. Maybe not damaging Liana either. But Ares would actually damage everyone. So you'd be surprised, Ikuto. With their enchant levels, it's actually very questionable. who did I fight in Apex playoffs? I lost to Manson's account, which was run by Dango. And then Dango lost to Roylee. I went over that, I think, last week. In last week's live stream video. Alright, so... basically, Roylee is running the standard AoE box. Zansin is actually running a single target box. You can kind of say Angelina is a hybrid. She can kind of do both, right? Single target as well as assassinate. But overall, it's safe to say Zansin's box is single target. So, unicorns on Angelina, because unicorns allow her to ignore terrain effects. Not a bad choice if the unicorns are more built than, let's say, the griffins. Okay. Although, I know Zansin's griffins are very well built as well, so it's an interesting choice to rerun unicorns instead. The Leviathans makes a lot of sense, I guess, because of the water in the middle here. And Landius is actually running heavy Centurions, giving up mobility for extra, I guess, extra effectiveness. So this is the meta choice, okay? He was trying to run heavy Centurions to counter Royal Cavalry. And Roylee is actually running Guardian Infantry. So advantage in the soldier choice on the tanks goes to Roylee as a result. The heavy infantry will counter the heavy Centurions. Or the Guardian Infantry will counter the heavy Centurions. Angelina is choosing to run Tidal Surge, Ram, and Breath of Tides. So no alternate. And I think everything else is mostly standard. Yeah. I don't know who runs Roylee's account. It could be Roylee himself, it could be someone else. I actually don't know. Well, thanks, I guess. Realistically, I'm never gonna win a tournament. I'm never gonna win an Apex season. Not unless I somehow magically get a lot more Swordfish medals, and yeah. To be perfectly frank, my Apex team is not even perfectly complete at this point. So basically, the box I ran into when facing off against Manson is the box I actually want to run, but I won't be able to build that box because I won't be able to build Ariane Rod. FavQ, basically, if you put money into the game, you can have the latest characters up to 6 stars, right? Like, when I ran into Manson, I think he had a 6-star Ariane Rod and a 6-star Reen right away. Yep, because this is the more interesting match, I think. I put my money into a match that I think will definitely be won. Whereas this is the match where I actually don't know who will win. I feel Roylee is more likely to win, but it could go either way. Zansin really doesn't make mistakes. Or he makes very few mistakes, I should say. Everyone makes mistakes, but Zansin really reduces the number he would make. And he has a powerful enough account to win this. in any case, both sides are initially holding back, right? So Roylee is properly using Ares the way he should be used. Right? He's not sending him on a suicide assault. He's holding back, letting them poison, start to cover the map, and then that way, when Ares attacks, he can actually be guarded by the tank. The interesting factor here is I really don't think Claret can one-shot this Landius. Look at this Landius, this is insane. 1114 defense. What the heck? 1114, in other words. Marvin? Not really. Maybe with when he gets his SP class, Elwyn becomes one. But at the top level, Ledin is not, and Elwyn is not. The current meta for the next season will be AoE teams. AoE debuff hell. Right? And Ariane Rod to remove 3 buffs from the enemy as well. So that's the current meta. And that's going to be the meta for, I guess, the next season. It's also the meta for Season 6, or at least the start of it, from what we've seen. Long Games is starting to release characters to counter the AoE meta, but there's not enough of them yet to make it viable. Because right now, the only one who counters AoE meta is basically Rosenseal, and that's only one character. You can just ban her, and then the AoE teams will still work. So for now, AoE teams continue to dominate, is my overall impression. But I think by the end of the Chinese Season 6, I think AoE teams will be obsolete. Yeah, we'll see. 1544 attack versus 989 defense. Don't underestimate those the defense on these two tanks. Especially when this tank has 16,000 hit points. So you can see, Zansin enchanted for hit points with some defense, while Roylee enchanted for more defense with less hit points. But even then, 13k hit points is ridiculously high. Like, both tanks are honestly ridiculous. The interesting thing is, Liana is running heal instead of prayer. I'm not going to say that's a wrong choice. It's just interesting to me. I personally have a preference for running prayer, but I do recognize that running prayer makes it hard to consistently heal. So that might be why. With the heal spell, Liana can heal up Landius and AoE heal everyone else. That might be why. But yeah. Let's see how this one plays out. So this is going to be a slow battle. They're both going to let the map get smaller with more and more poison before they start attacking. That's what I'm seeing. The one interesting factor is, if I was Zansin, I would probably give up the first turn advantage. Right? On turn 1, I would have used Act Again to make it so that Roylee acts first. But that's me. I feel like in this kind of battle situation, where Roylee has Iris and so on, you would want to go second as Zansin. It's interesting though. Even though I'm not sure Zansin's single target strike team will do amazing against Roylee's team. But we'll see. One thing to note, Roylee did not change for Tranquility, so he has Peace of Mind, which means Angelina's Breath of Tides can push the other characters back and not push Landius. So theoretically, this Angelina can move up, Breath of Tides, and then assassinate someone. Since Landius won't get pushed back. So that could be a skill selection mistake on Roylee's part. We'll see. The other possible option is that Roylee is confident that nobody will die to Angelina's Ram Strike. Which is actually very possible. I think the only character that's guaranteed to die is Ares. Because Arianrod has high defense. Gizarov, even if he's pushed back, he has lobsters. So the lobsters have that 50% damage decrease. And Iris has these Bolt Rangers. So the only character that could really be assassinated by Angelina should be just Ares. Should. Yeah, the more I look at this, the more iffy it feels for Zansin's pick ban, because he's all physical damage. Unless he can assassinate the healer, he could be in serious trouble. And even then, having one healer, Liana, against 3 AoE attackers could also be trouble. So, we'll see how this plays out though. By season 4, not really, Marvin. I mean, it depends on what kind of single target strike team you're running, Marvin. It really does, right? For example, B guy runs a high mobility single target strike team. He's got into what, the top? He got one round further than I did. So, top 32, I think it was. But the point is, you can't run low mobility teams anymore. Any low mobility team of single target strikers is going to get AoE hit like crazy and debuffed like crazy, and they won't be able to do much. And of course, at the end of the day, I mean, all 3 types of teams can get you into Langrisser rank and get you into the playoffs. But at the top level, the AoE teams tend to just be better because the massive amount of debuffs and so on is just very hard to deal with. Of course, making mistakes in your play can also lose you matches. So, it's a combination of factors. I won a whole bunch of matches because people made mistakes against me. So, both sides continue to hold back. Yeah, I think that applies to everyone. Everyone wishes they have a very good training ground so like they can switch soldiers at will. But in order to have a good training ground, you have to be purchasing stamina every day and grinding every day. So, and not very many people actually did that. I mean, more people than you would think, but also not as many as you would feel in an international server. I would say there's maybe around 100 people who would have really good training grounds. I'm not really one of them, by the way. I have a good one, but I don't have an amazing one. Alright, so Zansin makes the first move. Taking out Ares right away. Or not. Rip. So that totally failed because of the Leviathans, right? Leviathans without extra attack value, they're missing the 45% attack when they attack just now. So with that lack of damage, and with these Steelwing Warriors having that extra defense and magic defense, and having extra stats in their in the soldier training ground, those Steelwing Warriors absorbed almost everything. I think that's game over for match 1 right there. I'm just gonna quickly leave because I want to mention that. I'll jump back in right after, but I just wanted to mention the yeah, Zansin really underestimated the Flyer training ground. That was what just happened. Because it's not just that Steelwing Warriors have extra defense and magic defense. There is also the training ground this one. Ground-air coordination. All Flyers gain... Oh wait, not that one. What was it? When battling on terrain with defense up, Flyer damage taken is decreased. Right? So Ares was in mountainous terrain, which gives extra defense, which meant they were taking reduced damage. So the combination of high stats, right? The combination of having this tech for aerobatics and the Steelwing Warriors having extra defense and magic defense, and of course the Leviathans having no extra damage increase, no attack increase when being out of water, made Hiei do absolutely nothing. So, with that suicide strike, I think that first match is over. We can continue to watch it, of course. Not everyone likes to play the Apex matches. For some people, having their account as, you know, the constant champion is what's important. So after I left and came back, it looks like he moved Ares back. But yeah, Zansin is far behind now with that attempted assassination failure. Taking out the construct, no complaints there. I mean, it eliminates the ultimate construct skill, at the very least. And Claret is pulled back. I mean, theoretically, I think he could have gone after Ares, but then you're trading 2 characters to kill 1, which really would not help Zansin's cause. So, Roylee offered up Ares as bait, and Zansin took it and failed. So that, yeah, this is one of those maps where it's very hard to decide on the soldier choice for TA, because theoretically, being in the central line would make those Leviathans quite powerful, but at the same time, you can get situations where what just happened, right? Hiei charged forward to try to assassinate this Ares and failed miserably. If he had run... Actually, but I'm not sure there were any soldiers for Hiei that could have assassinated Ares like that, honestly speaking. I actually don't think there is a soldier choice that would let Hiei kill Ares, when there was the Peace of Mind buff providing that 15% range damage reduction and everything. So. what you can really say is Roylee put up a bait character for Zansin to attack. Zansin took it and got screwed. Yeah, but yes. I mean, this shows how powerful Steel Winged Warriors can be when fully upgraded. I mean, keep in mind that Roylee's account is literally like a 70% hit points, 70% defense, 70% magic defense, 70% attack. Right, so 70, 70, 70 kind of upgrades for everything. Marvin, I mean, at most, I'll get pretty far into the playoffs, but there's no chance of me beating the whale accounts. I don't have the equipment and I don't have the training grounds to compete. Or, for the matter, the character levels. My current account has, I think, 3 characters or 4 characters that are not at 6 stars. And whenever there's like a major banner that has critical characters like Reen and Ariane Rod, right? That makes all the difference. Okay, that's interesting. Why did Zansin use Breath of Tides there? I'm not sure I understood that. But look at... But what we can say is Roylee's positioning has been perfect. Right? He's been able to perfectly avoid allowing Angelina to hit 3 characters with Breath of Tides with this kind of positioning. So that Angelina will not get the act again effect. And he just found a situation where Zansin no longer had guard up, and so Ares was able to take out Angelina. Right? So peace of mind had just worn off, and so Ares was able to single target strike and kill Angelina, and even retreat back afterwards. So 5 against 3 now. I'm surprised Zansin is continuing to fight this. At this point, I personally just give up. Yeah, whoever is running Roylee's account, I don't know who it is, but whoever is running Roylee's account really doesn't make mistakes. Like, more than anyone else I've seen, he makes no mistakes. Because Gizurov has lobsters with 50% damage reduction. And he did try to snipe Ares. He just failed. Alright. Now Claret got the opportunity to kill off Roylee's healer though. So there is no more healer for Roylee's team. But it's still 2 against 4. And Ariane Rod get to act again. Grand Cross. Down goes Claret. Some extra damage as well to Landius. And now down goes Landius. It's hard to recheck, but at a guess, lack of mobility. Unless you're talking about a suicidal Claret attempt on killing. But if you do, is it even worth suiciding Claret to kill Gizerov? Not really. I don't think Hiei can single target kill anyone, frankly speaking. I really don't think he can. Especially without a faction buff. On turn 2, I'm pretty sure they're far separated. You'd have to use your AoE and not hit anyone, and then launch that single target strike. Like I said, I'd have to go back to take a look, but I highly doubt he would have been able to do so. Put another way, you're very, very much underestimating the power of Roylee's enchants. Generally speaking, the only way for Hiei to kill someone is if you manage to land the AoE attack on them and then hit them with the Ignore Guard skill. And even if you have Apex Boots or whatever to move 4 tiles, it's not likely to get that much damage into him. Like, I've actually used my Gizerov a whole bunch to tank hits. And the other part of all this is, even if Gizerov dies, the fact that he summons another construct to replace him is a pain in the butt. I've won a whole bunch of matches with having 2 constructs on the field, using Gizerov. It's powerful, but it's not game breaking. For example, we just saw Ares easily tank the hit from Hiei. He can run defensive boots. He can't run Apex boots though. You do lose a lot of damage. And therein lies the whole problem. Against someone with Roylee level enchants, it doesn't work out very well. Or I should say, Roylee level enchants and Roylee level training ground. Keep in mind those boots only give you 4 mobility, not like 5 or 6 or 7. On turn 2, they were still very, very separated. So, like I said, I'd have to go back to take a look, which would have to be after this matchup is done. But yeah. Kevin, it's a thing if you have powerful enough soldiers and training grounds and so on. Hoon, you'd actually be surprised. Like, for example, Chatin got really far last season. He does not have a max level training ground. Uh-oh. No! There goes all my gold. Oh well. Yeah, that's why I usually don't gamble on these things, because I feel like it's totally a gamble. In any case, Zansin is sticking with the single target strategy, it looks like. Zerda, Landius. Oh, he managed to get Wilder this time around. Roylee's AoE box is continuing. Well, let's see. Roylee so far has Landius, Listel, Deedlit, and Illustrial. So Roylee is playing single target mostly as well. Ooh, this is a nasty combo. Right. Deedlit can Elven Aura, turn the tiles into Forest, and then Illustrial can ignore Guard. So this combo is going to be very tough for Zansin to deal with, actually. Interesting. Iris instead of Wilder. Why? Guard skill against Yusuke, perhaps? That might be it. Guard skill and teleportation is what I'm going to assume. I actually don't think I have a delay set, but let's take a quick look. I think when I start the stream though, there's like a 50-second delay. Yeah, it says 5-second stream delay, but I know whenever I start the stream, it takes time for it to actually start. So I think that's where the delay is coming from. In any case, yeah. So both sides stuck with the same soldiers on their tanks. Interesting. I'm not a fan of this. I've mentioned it before, but I'm really not a fan of a Bloodthirster faction buffing Zerda. I mean, I understand why Zansin is using it, because that's really the only way he could potentially kill anyone in Roylee's box, considering the ridiculous stats, but yeah, I don't like it. I really don't. He did get lucky with a Breeze activation, for example, but he can't take advantage of it because now he has to Bloodthirster next turn. So. And then, yeah, I really don't like it. You have to faction buff, then Bloodthirster, then Killing Blow, and then assuming you can attack at that point in the first place, and then I think after that you often get stuck where you have to reactivate both your faction buff and your Bloodthirster. Like I faced off against it a whole bunch of times, and it's probably it's the combo I'm least afraid of for Zerda. But once again, there's not very many people, or there's not very many characters on Roylee's team that you can apply backstab effects to. So that's also something to keep in mind. So at this point, there's the Iris teleportation of Illustrial forward. She can now charge up and attack anyone at will, which she does. And down goes Zerda, just like that. So Roylee happily chooses to trade Illustrial for Zerda. Actually, let's see, yeah. So yes, Iris has shield that I mentioned earlier. So that shield will provide the immunity against Yusuke. And Ares is an AoE attacker, which is interesting because there's nobody who's actually vulnerable to his AoE, really. 932 defense on Deedlit? Oh my god. 1114 defense on Landius. And Listel also has 927. And this Iris should not die to Ares, because Iris is mage class rather than holy. So Judge's Talisman would not do extra damage to Iris. That could be the one factor that might let Roylee win, or might let Zansin win, if Ares can AoE attack and kill Iris. That's assuming a lot though, but we'll see. So we just saw the shields get casted. Oh, this is another factor that might make the difference. The shield... Oh wait, never mind. Shield lasts 2 turns, but shield has a cooldown of 1 turn. So Iris can endlessly activate shield to protect against Yusuke's Dark Tinker. Interesting. He's not choosing to use high stakes at all. I guess because of this. He's trying to avoid Listel's heal reversal. Yeah, that's also another thing. Given that Listel is in play, while their skill selection should have been changed. or if not the skill selection change, there should have been, let's say, Forest Priest on Wilder instead of Shrine Maidens. Kind of awkward. You either bring, let's say, Dispel instead of Tactical Retreat, or you bring Forest Priest so that when you teleport characters back to you, you can dispel those debuffs. At least that's my thought. Then again, on the flip side, Listel does only apply one debuff. So if this has Goddess tier, it could remove the debuff. No, we'll see. Lao, I mean, if you really want to, you can. I'll probably wait on purchasing the Echoes though. Like, the next one that I might get would probably be the Bunny Girl one. Yeah, I'm not going to buy an Echoes soon, that's for sure. But if you do donate one, I definitely purchased it. Okay, let's see. So, yeah, I really don't know how Zansin plans to kill off Landius and Listel, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, game one showed Roylee doing perfect positioning to avoid Angelina. And you almost never see that. Like, it's incredibly rare to see someone actually manage to pull off perfect positioning like he did. And this game, I really don't see how Zansin can kill off characters like Listel. This is actually a really bad situation, honestly speaking, for Zansin, because Listel can toss out a Mind Bore and so on. Since Roylee is going second, he's just patiently waiting. He's ready to have Listel use that Mind Bore as the very last action. Here we go. Can this Wind Whisper take out Iris? This is what will really determine the match. It does! Ho ho! Interesting! As a side note, I'm pretty sure my Iris won't die to Ares, but that actually changes the matchup a lot. Because Landius cannot guard this Ares, so it's going to die. See? So Deedlit is probably going to range attack Ares. This Desperate Prayer is actually going to do damage to Ares, and even though Deedlit is nearly dead, she should be able to finish off Ares here. As long as she uses Elvenora. Oh, That was a surprise. I was not thinking that Ares could actually kill off that Iris. So I was actually wrong there. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it didn't have a faction buff. So now, Deedlit should single target attack. Right, yep. So there's the massive amount of damage. And down goes Ares. And now, Yusuke's Dark Tinker can apply Cannot Be Healed onto Landius. Once Landius acts. Right? Well, actually, this is going to be interesting to see. I mean, Zansin still has a lot to do. This is going to be interesting. Regroup. Not the action I would have expected, but fair. I can't say that's the wrong action at all, because he's trying to act last with these guys. Now that Listel has used up Mind Bore, right? Because Listel has used her Mind Bore, she's used her Blood Dance. So she only has Reaper's Touch right now. So there's much less for Roylee to be afraid of. Oh, that's an interesting choice. Reaper's Touch on Yusuke. That prevents Yusuke from attacking, because Desperate Prayer would do tons of damage. So Yusuke was locked down for this turn. And now Deedlit has the opportunity to Gospel up Landius to make him immune to Dark Tinker. Although whether he's going to do that is questionable, because at this point, yeah. Look at how much damage this Landius took, because it's a cavalry Landius against a Lancer Landius. And yes, there was indeed the Gospel for immunity to all debuffs. So, Dark Tinker attack. Doesn't apply that cannot be healed. So when Landius ends his turn, he's going to get both the Elven Aura healing as well as the final Iris healing. Nope, he chose the Blood Dance first. That's interesting. I actually, I always thought Zansin had a Swordsmith Landius, but he doesn't. He has an Overlord sword. He has an Overlord Landius. Zansin's action now should be to tactically retreat back. It's like his only choice. Yep. And he does not have a Goddess tier on Wilder either. Wow. So Deedlit can move up, act again, and finish off this Landius. Goodbye. Yeah, I mean, the only way Zansin could have won this is if he had the swordsmith Landius. And he didn't. All Roylee has to do now is block this tile, I think. And then... Oh, well, wait, no, never mind. It has 5 mobility. Mind Bore. Heal reversal yet again. You know, just... Yeah, game over. He tried. But yeah, not much he could do. So I'm going to take a look at the Ig 10 game now. Let's see. They're so mixed up I can't tell whose characters is whose. Okay, but it looks like this Licorice is currently in Breath of Life mode to apply healing. Liana, Sophia, Landius, and Reen on his team. Listel, Iris, Landius, and Licorice on the other team. Yeah, this is looking interesting. So, the Licorice Breath of Life is removing debuffs bit by bit from his characters. So that certainly helps. Ooh, this is tough. Because Liana's damaged, Sophia is hurt. Ah, but due to the positioning of Listel there, there's no opportunity to attack this Liana. So it worked out. So Liana can safely move down here. And Talent will get rid of the debuffs. Oh. Sophia managed to not lose her heal reversal debuff. But that's fine, because as soon as she ends her turn, it's going to be removed anyways. Not anymore. Maybe it did before, but now it doesn't. So the Breath of Life helped a lot. But now Blood Dance will kill Sophia. So Licorice is kind of countering Reen's debuffs with that Breath of Life just now. Looks like all of my bets will be gone. The 7 bets I put into IG-10 winning. Depends though. I mean, if he still has a bunch of his AoE skills, it should still be okay. Alright, fair enough. Spirit Unification, so now with this Ogre buff is permanent. Wasn't it already permanent? Because 2 characters died? Oh, regardless. So, what are we seeing right now? A lot of damaged characters for player 2, but that's about all you can say. They're damaged, but the real question is, can IG-10 occupy most of the 6 central slots? Okay. If he can manage to take 4 of these 6, he can win. But I don't think he can at this point. There's 1 occupied, because it's D6, right? So now it's turned into a game of who can occupy more slots. Both sides are going to be rapidly moving characters into the central positions. So next is probably Landius to here, I imagine. And then Reen to here. So that would give him 3. Oh, interesting. Reen first. Yeah, that surprised me. I honestly would have moved Landius first to take that position, because now it gives the last game the opportunity to take it, which he just did. Does Landius have enough movement to get into this tile? The water tile? He does. Okay, fair enough. So at the end, it becomes each side gets 3 slots. Eddie, it depends on the summon. Maybe 1 summon, but you don't want more than that. I mean, if you have Gizoroth, you bring a summon anyways. So, it really depends. So, Suicide, Liana moves into the tile. The problem here though is IG-10 has less damage than the last game. Can he catch up in damage in 3 turns? That's the question. I don't think he can, because Blood Dance Listel and Mindbore Listel and Licorice AoEs will give him more damage anyways. So it looks like the last game will win. Yep. Score loss. My gold! It's actually quite interesting though, this match, because he's using Licorice without going into Demonic Advent purely to counter Green's debuffs. Oomph. Yeah, I'm really surprised people don't try to ban Listel as fast as they can. Like, she's still ridiculous. Because she is so insanely hard to kill with that high defense and magic defense. Anyone with a powerful Listel is very hard to deal with. Oh, side note, this is a 6-star Licorice. Right, Breath of Life lasts for 2 turns. So, Egg 10 got crushed. There goes my 7 tickets, unfortunately. And so what have we seen? Roylee win. The last game win. This one's 1-1. And this one is interesting. Lux is beating Ashtu. I'm going to take a quick peek at turn 2 that was mentioned earlier. So if we just advance to the next round. So at this point, yeah, if Ye had moved forward to AoE first with Dragon of Darkness Flame, it only has a 4 range, so the only character that gets hit is Ariane Rod. And then, yes, you could move, I guess, 3 more tiles. Maybe, yeah, you could move, I guess, yeah, 4 more tiles to do a single target strike on Gizaroth. But I don't think Hiei could one-shot this Gizaroth. It'd be close. Would have been very dangerous, that's for sure. I'm not sure a 1284 attack is enough to take out either Ares or Gizaroth with their hit points. Would have been, I guess it would have been more interesting than when he actually did attack, right? Because when he did attack, Ares was here. So if we play this one out once again, let's see. Yeah. So when Ares actually attacked here, the damage was not even enough to kill off the... All the damage was absorbed by the Steel Wing Warriors. Nothing went into Ares. Interesting. So, yeah, I guess you're right though, Hyun. He had the opportunity to attack. It would have been interesting to see if this Ares would have died, but he didn't go for it. So he would have certainly had more chance to kill than the attack that he did, right? At the very least, in this situation, Ares was not in defensive terrain. So if he did attack on turn 2, there was a higher chance of killing with Ares, but yeah. Wait. So it was here, right? So if he had gone up, launched the AoE, then got to act again, he could have attacked either Ares or Gizaroff, which would have been... It would have certainly been more interesting. A trade there. But I think at the end of the day, he's still dead. Frankly, because even if he killed either Ares or Gizaroff, assuming the battle went down to the wire, the fact that it's a Lancer Landius against a Cavalry Landius would have been all the difference. Lancer Landius would have crushed the Cavalry Landius, I think. So, if it went down to the wire. But yes, will Roylee force a meta shift into forcing everyone into using Lancer Landius? I doubt it, but it's an interesting idea. Yeah. Single target strike on a Bolt Ranger Iris will never kill her. Never. I can guarantee you that one. Even if you can single target hit, you can't kill. So, anyways. Yeah, it would have been more interesting for sure. But, missed opportunity. So, which match should I take a look at? Let's take a look at this one. Yes, Leviathans are useless outside of water. Oh, they're going to a round 3. So we'll get to see if this battle will allow us... Well, we'll see who wins the battle to advance. To face off against Roylee. But hey, top 4, right? And you're underestimating the 50% damage reduction of both Rangers. Along with 15% damage reduction from Landius. Granted, this Iris does not have a faction buff, so that can also be a determining factor. But it's very, very rare to see Iris ever die to a single target strike, especially when the Hiei only has 1284 attack. I use Hiei, so I would know. You almost always need 2 strikes to kill, even with backstab. But yeah. In any case... Not mine! I offer my Iris as bait quite often. Just for your knowledge. But yes, it does depend on your training grounds too. Like, a huge part of it is how tanky your Bolt Rangers are. If they have enough defense and hit points, or not. If it's like a 40 defense, 40 magic defense, and 40% hit point Bolt Ranger, then yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, this is around the right time. It does take around 30 minutes a match. So as I said, Hoon, don't assume they do. Chatin does not have a max training ground, as an example. And Chatin was top 8 last season. So a huge part of it is also running AoE. The whole thing about AoE teams is it does allow non-max training ground parties to actually get very far. Max training ground really mattered against single targets, but it's less of an issue, generally speaking, against AoE teams. It's something that's come up multiple times. A lot of people who get far into these tournaments don't have max training grounds. You'd be surprised. The ones who win, they pretty much always have to have it. But if you get lucky with your seeding, and you can get shockingly far without a very powerful training ground. So, once again, we see Lestel get played. Love TT is running 2 healers, Liana and Iris. Both sides are running Mystery Knight, so both sides have older, I guess, yeah, slightly older boxes, if you will. Mystery Knight mostly becomes obsolete by next season because she's just a plain AoE attacker without much else to offer. She doesn't debuff, you know, that kind of stuff. But don't get me wrong, she is still useful. She just becomes less useful compared to the debuffing AoE attackers like Gizaroth, like Licorice, like Reen, you know, Arianrod who dispels buffs. All those characters tend to be better AoE strikers than Mystery Knight. Yeah. I really do have to say though, the Lancer Landius for Roylee's account seems to have consistently made a difference for him. Shadowlight, it's very hard to ban her now. Because most people ban one of the 2 tanks as the first pick, and in the second pick, there's too many characters that you need to ban. There's Reen, there's Reen and Ares is the more common bans for the second one. It's not that people want to allow Listel, it's that there's too many characters to ban now for the second pick. I ran into the exact same situation against Manson's box. I could not allow Ares to be played, so I had to ban Ares. In hindsight, I probably should have banned Ares and Listel, but, you know. But then that would have allowed my opponent to pick Reen, which is also really bad with the debuffs. But yeah, looking at this, if I had to pick a side that has the advantage, I would say it's player 2, Love TD. Love titties! It's not 100% true, but that's what I feel. Ooh, that's dangerous. That was... I know why he went for it, but this is a swordsmith deedlit against a magic, against a cavalry mystery knight. He was kind of hoping for a lot. Shadowlight, that's why I have no expectation of getting very far if I run into a whale. Realistically, I have no idea what to ban against them. Just, yeah. Have I seen a fully built Renata? There has been a few near fully built ones. Have they made a significant difference in matches? I honestly don't think so. Like, I honestly think anytime I saw Renata, I felt like other characters could do her job. There's been a few uses of her though. I mean, there were a few matches where she killed off the enemy Landius, I suppose. But, yeah. So yeah. Goodbye, Deedlit. Game over. Yeah. If Mystic Star had a mage Deedlit, that would have been fine, right? Having your Deedlit attack this Knight of Mysteries, you would not have gotten the damage reduction of infantry against cavalry. But by having the Swordsman Deedlit attack a Cavalry Knight of Mysteries, that was a suicide move. I guess he was hoping that without the faction buff, it would do enough damage, but it doesn't. Especially when she had the buff from Iris of 20% damage taken reduction. Oh, Rin is useful. He really is. But he's an AoE debuff attacker. That's what he is. Okay? In order to run Rin, you need multiple AoE attackers. And that's not the box Mystic Star ended up with. Okay? You'd want like 3 AoE attackers, like Knight of Mysteries, with Rin, with a 3rd AoE attacker, like Licorice. Having just 2 is usually not enough. Like, if you have Bozel, Gizaroth, and Rin or something like that, that would be perfect. But having just 2 AoE attackers is not enough to wipe out an enemy box. And in the first place, if you allowed a Listel that has this kind of stats, defense and magic defense, good luck killing her. But yeah, if Mystic Star had 3 AoE attackers, this might have worked. Might. Okay. But as it is, no. Not happening. Yeah, I shouldn't say Renata is useless. She has, I guess, she's like a side box character, is my opinion. But it's so, there's so few circumstances where she's great. It's hard to say. Yeah, I'm not going to watch the rest of that one because I think it's pretty much over. Let's take a look at the other fight. It's not like Renata can't screw up characters, she certainly can, but Knight of Mysteries, as I said, is mostly obsolete now. Whoa, this is interesting. Ashtu got to play Juggler. Juggler, Bozel, and Gizarov. So that's 3 AoE attackers right there. If he uses these 3 properly, Lux should lose this. Three AoE attackers, Act Again in Gospel from Liena, and also Deedlit for single target striking. Granted, Deedlit is once again infantry class, so she'll struggle a bit against Landius, but this is interesting. I like the box that Ashtu has. I think he has an advantage, looking at the characters that were selected for this final fight. I mean, Lux is, I guess, he's going to need Ashram to be able to take out Juggler. And that's just not happening, I don't think. Okay. But it looks like this Liena does not have a teddy bear, which means, but he does have 2 gospels. Okay. So to maintain the gospel buff on Juggler, he's going to have to constantly have Deedlit and Liena apply gospel on Juggler. So he can maintain it. It's just not that easy for him. This is where I would... I'm really surprised. A lot of people seem to really like running heal on Liena. It's not bad, but I don't know. I mentioned before I do like prayer, especially if I'm running Juggler like this in this kind of situation, because you're going to have Juggler jump forward. You're going to need the prayer to heal him up properly. Liena does not have enough mobility to keep up with Juggler. So heal is better with Landius. I feel like prayer is better with Juggler. If he had prayer, he could have teleported Juggler forward like this and disabled mobility on both of these characters, for example. And then Liena would be able to prayer up and heal the Juggler afterwards. So anyways. Yeah. Lost opportunity, basically. If there was prayer, he could have had Juggler just charge forward and Breath of Tide. Charge forward and Sacred Beast him, and then maybe single target strike kill Ashram the following turn. Nonetheless, it's not like Ashtu is in a terrible situation. I would say it's the safest, but you don't earn much. Right? When the odds are like 5 to 1, as we saw that previous match, you're not going to get much gold. But yeah, I think it's pretty safe to think that Roylee will win. But you never know. You know, he may have a catastrophic mistakes and then collapse and lose. It's just I've never seen Roylee really screw up, or whoever's running Roylee's account. There we go. First AoE launched. Some good debuffs, but Deedlit can Sea of Miracles to remove them all. For the matter, if Tieris has a goddess's left hand, or sorry, has a goddess tier, she can move up Mass Seal and remove them. So as a side note, I really feel like most of us are using the constructs wrong. They're held so far back that you can't use Ultimate Construct. The other thing there was yeah, I'm surprised he's being that conservative with the construct. Yeah, I mean, Ashdu plays a very different style from me. That's what I should say. If I use Juggler with this kind of box, I would be very, very aggressive at this point. He's playing very conservative by comparison. Because he has to, like, at this point, he has to move up and launch the Sacred Beast Hymn. Otherwise, Triton wears off. So there was no choice. So, as I said, I would have 100% jumped in earlier with Juggler. But he is also limited by the fact that Liana doesn't have Prayer. So it's different. It's very difficult to heal Juggler at this point. So it's, yeah, it's iffy. No, they're Templar Knights, I think. Yeah, Templar Knights. It's because Ashdu's whole team is magic attackers except for Juggler. And even if you run Royal Cavalry against Juggler, Beast Shock will kill the Royal Cavalry anyways and kill off Landius. So at least the Templar Knights would take reduced damage from all the magic attackers. It's a smart soldier choice in this situation. Yep. And now Ashdu is in serious trouble. Just, in my opinion, way too passive with a AoE oriented box. If he lets, yeah, because if he lets Triton wear off, Ashram will one-shot Juggler. So he has no choice but to AoE in. But if he AoEs in, let's see what happens. jump here into this water tile. There's not really any options at this point. Or he can do that and change the turn order. Alright. Like I said, very different style. Very different style for me. I can't say it's wrong. It's just not a style I would play if I got to pick his team. Well, at the very least, he's forced back. Ashram. So there's actually not very many characters that can attack him at this point. That's interesting, you know? Why? Why was he actually able to reactivate Triton before it wore off? Usually isn't there one turn where it's down? I don't think he killed anyone on player 2's side, so that was interesting. I mean, I'm aware this faction buff can reduce the cooldown of skills, but nobody died, right? So where did the reactivation of Triton come from? Whatever. Oh, Sea of Miracles. Got it. Thank you. Right. Okay, fair enough. Sea of I always forget about that one. Man, I always forget about that. That Sea of Miracles can reduce cooldowns. Fair enough. Like I said, very, very different style from how I play. Anytime I get Juggler, I'm on the offensive. I'm not hanging back like this. So these little things are things that I've never done. But yeah, that explains it. Sea of Miracles to reduce cooldown and then keep going. Yep. And I'm sure I'm going to continue to forget about that. Because to me, the Sea of Miracles is for healing and for the increased damage. It's not for the cooldown reduction. And to be fair, in this kind of situation, Ashdu does have more, how do I say it? He has more, he has a larger margin of error than Lux does. Like, Lux has to be very careful with his positioning, and it's going to be very difficult for him to actually attack and kill the Juggler. So That's what it's really going to come down to. How can Lux play this out perfectly to take out the juggler? Or can Ashtu play conservatively, force that spread of characters, and wipe out juggler before taking out all those AoE attackers? Me, I would have just aggressively assaulted earlier on. As I said. Relied on Leanna's prayer to keep everyone healthy, and then just charged in. Yeah, constructs are interesting. Like, the more I see these matches, the more I wonder if Ultimate Construct is truly worth it. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good skill, but so often I feel like if you could instead bring Dark Dragon's Breath to do damage as well, it'd be much easier to manage the constructs. Because the construct buffs are very reliant on you doing damage and so on. Well, maybe that will change when Hobo Landius appears in people's boxes. We'll see. Here we go. Yep. Speaking of margin of error, right? Because Yusuke ended his turn, there's no way to one-shot Disposal. Not with its 1066 magic defense. So Deedlit, who can't one-shot for sure, will... He can damage, but that's it. So... iffy situation. Bad, bad, bad. Ashram did get lucky though with that sleep. Neither buff of Attack Blessing was removed. The buffs that got removed was the faction buff, and the faction buff is going to get refreshed. And also worth noting is Lux's Yusuke is going to lose the Spiritual Outbreak form, or Psychic Eruption. Interesting. In goes Juggler. Continuing to protect Bozal. Both sides have run out of backup time, also worth noting. So they're going to have to take actions quickly at this point. But yeah. And this is where the very very rear place construct is now going to hurt Ashtu. Right? He can't jump in with another AoE debuff this turn. But he got some good debuffs out of that Earthquake. Right? Cannot be healed yet again. Tieris took quite a bit of damage, cannot receive buffs, not a big deal. cannot be healed on Yusuke as well. Right? Cannot be healed on Diglett. Wow. Okay, let me take that back. Ashdu got ridiculous debuffs with that Earthquake. Interesting. He went for it with the construct. Only damaged 2 characters, but he went for it. But yeah, Lux is in trouble now. He's already used up the Diglett Sea of Miracles. And so it's going to be very difficult to remove all these debuffs. But yeah, it's safe to say Ashdu is in a better situation than Lux right now. For sure. Right. Yusuke's spiritual outbreak has worn off, or psychic eruption, whatever. First kill on Landius. Juggler no longer has Gospel, but unfortunately, Yusuke no longer has Psychic Eruption. Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. This... Oh, I didn't even notice this, but this Landius is running route instead of the faction buff. So he can ram this Juggler out of the way. Although a heal pretty much removed that. But at the very least, Landius can still guard. Right? So Beast Shock is not taking into effect right now. Oh. Hellfire Archers not doing any fixed damage. That means this is a Swordsmith Landius. Ooh, that was iffy. Why didn't he move Diglett here to attack? Oh, he couldn't. Because of the Beast Shock. So, once again, showing why I keep saying people should be running Mage Diglets if they're using them. If you're facing against Landius, you really should have a Mage Diglett. I mean, you're going to give up the gift of eternal life healing, but at least you can actually kill Landius. If this was a Mage Diglett, Landius was dead, wiped out just now. But since it's not, it lives. I'm constantly surprised people are still running infantry deedlit. Like, yeah, anyways. Yeah, infantry deedlit is meant for fighting against juggler, mage deedlit for Landius. If you don't do that switch, then you should not bring your deedlit. And juggler now has a chance to kill off one of these characters. Yep, like so. I personally would have probably tried to kill off Yusuke there for the very reason we just saw. Yusuke got to heal up like crazy, but he went for the sure kill as opposed to the gamble. The problem is, with Ashdu's formation completely broken, Lux is winning this fight. I guess what you can say is this route skill has really changed things up. Right? Because Landius can push this juggler away, it's completely changed up this whole fight. Because infantry characters cannot kill cavalry characters. Josh. Infantry do reduce damage against cavalry. Mages do not do reduced damage against infantry. Or against cavalry. Yeah, surprisingly. Ashram carry time. That sounds right. Interesting. Attack blessing on Yusuke instead. So speaking of single target boxes, guess what Lux is running, right? We were talking about single target versus AoE boxes earlier. And right now, it's safe to say that Lux is playing his single target box perfectly, while Ash has not been playing his AoE box perfectly. And that is turning into the difference in this battle. Well, of course, there was also the not being able to kill Landius part. Where if Ash had a mage deedlit, he probably won this fight. Because Landius would be dead right now. But Landius being alive changes things. Okay. Why act again on the ultimate construct? This was impressive. Lux played this very, very well. Like, looking at the boxes, I would have thought Ash 100% won this. Or sorry, looking at the 5 characters that were picked. But Lux made no mistakes with his skill selection and with his positioning. And Ash did. Also, the big difference was definitely, Landius running routes was totally unexpected. and that had a huge impact on this fight. Giving up the faction buff for routes ended up really saving him. I'm honestly impressed. Like, don't get me wrong, I knew route was a great skill. It's been well known, but I didn't expect it to be so dramatic in a battle like this. Route as a counter against Juggler. Just impressive. Yes, Eddie. With Elven Aura, yes. Well, I should say very likely to. Because unicorns should still be able to kill the Templar Knight. Actually, it depends on what soldiers you run. That's really what it comes down to. It really depends on your soldiers as well. There we go. So I think the final 4 are now set at long last. So Lux wins against Ashtu. Roylee wins. Love Titties beat Mystic Star. And the Last Night beat Igten. Yeah, just to elaborate on my answer to you, Eddie, if you run unicorns, especially on that map, they will not gain their benefit because you're not fighting on forest, mountain, or grassland. So you're almost always missing out on 30% attack and magic defense, in which case these unicorns are basically useless. That was the wrong map to run unicorns. On that map, you should really be running, well, if you're running a mage deedlit like I do, you would be probably running either wizards or, yeah, I would say you would be running wizards in that battle. Because the wizards also have the 30% attack and magic defense increase when you're attacking. Crystal Warlocks have no damage increase, so they're not really worth running. But yeah. But it's worth noting, so it does depend for that map. But yes, unicorns would have been a very bad choice. Just they don't do enough damage on that map in particular. But Mage Deedlit with wizards should be able to kill. So Deedlit is one of those characters where you do have to change soldiers depending on the map. That was a very bad map to run unicorns. Alright. So that is it for today's stream. That was much longer than I expected it to be. 2 hours. Speaking of which, and so I'm gonna head off now and try to get my timeless trials done. I still haven't finished. I haven't even done them. I haven't done my SSS or SSSS trials. So that is it for this stream though. Thanks for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week will be a look at the semifinals. So that should be interesting. The semifinals and the finals.